You should not be educated best or better depending on where you live or where you go to school.
And unfortunately, sometimes when you're telling people that they're doing the wrong things, people don't necessarily like that.
And so I felt that I was being deprived of my education that I deserved.
Newark, New Jersey is home to one of the largest and oldest school systems in New Jersey. The Newark School District is also home to an overwhelmingly large student population, having approximately 35,000 students throughout the city. The Newark public school system has been through periods of state seizure and local control, which both have had its benefits and consequences. This video will explore the conversation about Newark's public high school education system through a variety of perspectives, ranging from parents to students to the superintendent himself. We are residents of Newark and members of the Aspen Institute, and we are going to take you through a conversation about the different factors that contribute to Newark's complex relationship with education. We present to you Newark's story.
Our school system has a rich history, so we are 163 years old.
Wow.
We are one of the oldest school systems in the country, Newark being one of the oldest cities in America. So what happens in our school system under state operation is that the board no longer controls the school system. And that's what happened here in Newark. Decisions were made about how well we were financially running the school system back in the mid-80s and in the mid-90s, and at that point in time the state made that decision. So the citizens of Newark did not get to elect board members.
Now getting older without proper maintenance and care, and when the state came in, they grabbed the money, because I thought it was primarily a money grab, as opposed to an education reform movement. Now there were things that were not right, that needed to change, but they did not invest back into the school. So for instance, I'll give you for instance, when my daughter, the difference, I had 5 years of German while I was at Weequahic advanced placement. I had advanced placement, a lot of advanced placement classes, biology. I had fencing. I had modern dance as electives. My daughters had Spanish 1 year, French the other. That was crazy. So we said, wait a minute, you have to have at least 2 or 3 years of a consistent language in order for them to learn the language. So those, talking about the differences, those were stark differences in terms of curriculum choices. And by then, fencing had disappeared, modern dance had disappeared, some of the bands had disappeared. We used to have band battles of the schools. That was a great thing. The community came out to support their various schools, and that disappeared. The community was broken up. The culture was broken up of the schools.
I learned that they didn't have the type of support services that I had. They didn't have the caring staff. There was a turnover in a lot of schools as far as staff, retention of teachers. One Newark enrollment really had a detrimental effect on the students. We didn't have a plethora of charter schools in the community, so all the resources were directed to the local public schools. The students were able to grasp those resources. I think as a result of state control, the superintendent who came in, Anderson, cut a lot of the support staff, the guidance counselors, the social workers, the attendance counselors, the drug coordinators in the schools. These are vital positions that were needed to help the students achieve.
The adults were scared. We've had principals who were, who made comments in church. We suspended them. We had principals and staff who would make critiques of how the organization is occurring, reassigned or moved out of particular jobs that they were in. So we kind of created for children a model of inconsistency. And so a lot of people were afraid to speak up. And so what happens in a situation like that? Well, we're not doomed because there's always children.
One of the main reasons that I saw the Newark Students Union as a necessity, because if we're not going to be listened to when we are sometimes in fact right, we need to be able to get together and fix the problems ourselves rather than depending on people to do it for us.
As a result of you being with the Newark Students Union, you had the opportunity to work with other students from across the district and kind of talk to them about their high school experiences. As you know, the Newark Students Union is a platform for those students to kind of voice the problems that they face in school. So like, in your experience, what things did students across the district have or not have access to, or what did they experience?
So yeah, because there are so many schools within the Newark Public School District, there's a diverse set of issues that students face on a day-to-day basis, or just going to school in general. What happens at Science Park High School might not be the same thing that's happening at Shabazz, or be the same thing that's happening at university or technology. Like, actually, when our first official meeting for the Newark Students Union. So I am Bradley Gomia. I just recently graduated from Science Park High School, and I was part of an organization called the Newark Students Union, which is basically a student-run and led organization aimed at ensuring a quality education for all. We asked students that came to the meeting to write down on little post-it notes what the problems were that they faced in their school. So from that, it really gave like more of a wider perspective of how diverse our issues are, but also how similar some of those problems are. So some of those things included lack of sanitation, so just roaches running all over the floors, eating your food, and stuff like that. But then it would also go to things like infrastructure and lack of diversity in curriculum.
Any school that has a new building has more resources than other schools that are currently in old buildings that are falling down. My name is Isaiah Thornton. I am currently at American History High School. I am in 11th grade. When I got to my junior year, this year, I didn't have a pre-cal teacher for the entire half of the year.
Lack of teachers, resources, and materials are some of the disadvantages that have plagued many Newark students like Isaiah. Even within Newark, some schools face more disadvantages than others. For example, many of the comprehensive schools have graduation rates below the state average, while most of the magnet schools, if not all, meet the state average. Nonetheless, as a city, Newark's high school graduation rates continue to remain below the state graduation rate and national graduation rate.
In those?
Right, there's an inequity in staffing. A lot of the highly qualified, highly effective teachers who come out of college and universities or transferred from another district, they are immediately placed in the North Ward and East Ward schools in Newark, where there's not a lot of behavioral issues, there's not a lot of attendance issues with the students, and so those are the schools who primarily we see a higher academic rigor and performance of students, and that really leads to other schools with staff vacancies, with a retention, a lack of retention of teachers. Some stay a year or 2 years, they leave. But in the Ann Streets, the Abingtons, the Park Avenues, the Ridge Streets, the First Avenue schools, you see rigorous coursework, you see highly effective and highly effective teachers in those schools.
So the first issue is that the money follows the students. So if you have a school that doesn't have a lot of students, then you don't have a lot of money. that's the first thing. So as it relates to resource, meaning dollars, all of the schools have the same amount of money because it's based on the number of kids that are in the school. Eastside High School has more money than all of the other schools, but it's the only school that has 2,000 students. So it makes sense that they have.
We're not afraid. Teachers are tied by contracts. Students aren't. So we have to use that freedom and our voice to bring to the table the truth of the matter, and that is that our public education is being stolen away from us.
What I want to see is more funding for schools that have less resources than others. Because I see that other schools have new buildings, and I believe that all schools should have should be up to standard or up to par to meet the needs of students.
I hope to see a more assertive effort in getting parents more involved in the schools, parent organizations, school leadership councils being initiated back to our schools so that the community and parents can have a voice at every school on the selection of teachers and administrators, budgeting for their individual schools. I hope to see a systemic change in the opportunities for students to speak out in their individual schools and in the district. I hope their voices will be heard. I hope to see that the school board will, really get into the school board members will really get into the schools and actually see what's going on, as opposed to seeing a report on paper, or actually going, visiting some of the classrooms and seeing the rigorous coursework or the lack of rigor in some of the classrooms. I hope to see more professional development for teachers and administration when it comes to cultural competency, efficacy, classroom management, and certainly want to see more recognition of students who are doing well.
The main thing that I want with local control is, or that I would like to see with local control, is that students actually have more power in determining what they do in school, the type of education that they receive. Because education isn't just about receiving and taking in knowledge or taking in from everybody else, but it's also creating and using your agency to actually influence the world. So I think what I would really like to see with local control is students actually taking hold of their education and changing it and using it for themselves rather than anybody else or anything else.
So in the end, the way that the book will be written will be all determined on how well we took the charge that is before us. So it's all of the, not some of the kids, not most of the kids, but all of the children in the city of Newark realizing their dreams, and that we played a critical role in making that happen. Not saying that something was impossible, but having obviously reality checks along the way and having people to guide someone to their goal and helping them then realize that. That's what we're about. To have babies dream and dream really, really big, because what we will do in Newark is make dreams come true.
Wow.